Hi guys, welcome! In this video, we'll dive into the skills of Rathgricy, the newest hero class coming this July. Rathgricy is a melee physical skill damage dealer that can inflict massive amounts of AOE damage over time, mainly with her feather blade that can be infused with holy element. She also has the ability to sustain her own health through lifesteal, damage absorbing, and damage immunity skills, allowing her to survive longer in fights. We've already seen Rathgricy's performance in PvE in one of my previous videos. If you haven't watched that yet, I have the video linked down below. This time, we'll explore her skill mechanics in detail and analyze her pros and cons in both PvE and PvP. Alright, without further ado, let's begin. The first aspect of Rathgricy's skills that we'll look at is her core passive skill called Four-Winged Guardian. This core passive introduces the Holy Snow Feather stacking mechanic, which is displayed below her SP bar. As you can see, she can have up to maximum of 4 Holy Snow Feather stacks. These feather stacks play a vital role in utilizing 4 of her skills. Holy Feather Judgment and Flames of Pride require 1 feather each to be cast. Call of Heroes consumes all her feather stacks, and the Wing Armor buff automatically consumes 1 feather stack every time she receives damage exceeding 20% of her max HP. In order to gain 1 Holy Snow Feather stack, Rathgricy needs to move and cover a distance of 20 meters. Thus, she needs to constantly move around to regain any stacks she consumes. Another method of obtaining Holy Snow Feathers is by equipping her exclusive weapon, Zealot Judgment. This because its tier 5 effect automatically grants 1 Holy Snow Feather every 8 seconds, even when she is not moving. In addition to being a requirement for utilizing skills, consuming the Holy Snow Feather stacks also provides an additional 9% movement speed and physical damage bonus for 18 seconds, which can stack up to 4 times. Furthermore, at level 4, consuming a Holy Snow Feather will additionally grant immunity to both physical and magic damage for 2 seconds, while also clearing a negative effect on herself. This means that her Holy Snow Feather stacks not only maximize her damage potential and mobility, but also contribute to her defensive capabilities. Proper timing and management of her Holy Snow Feather stack accumulation and consumption are crucial to optimize Rathgricy's effectiveness in battle. It's important to note that the level 7 effect of her core passive is unrelated to her feather stacks. It will shorten the cooldown of one of her active buffs, called Valkyrie, by 2 seconds every time she's inflicting damage to an enemy target. Valkyrie is an essential buff for improving Rathgricy's damage and giving her sustain. The only problem is that it only lasts for 30 seconds, with a cooldown of 75 seconds. Thus, reaching 7/7 core passive is a must for ensuring 100% uptime of this buff and consistently reaching her power spike. Next, let's look at Rathgricy's offensive skills. As mentioned in my previous video, all of her damaging skills incorporate both physical and magic attack in the damage formula and are considered melee physical skill damage with convertible element. First is Feather Blade of Order, which generates a golden circle in front of her that shoots feathers, dealing physical damage to all enemies within a 3x8 meter area in front every 0.5 seconds for a duration of 4 seconds. It's somewhat similar to Genesis' rechargeable incendiary gun, except that Rathgricy can just leave the circle on the ground and move freely after using the skill. With its short cooldown of 1.2 seconds, up to 3 Feather Blade Order can exist at a time, giving a total of 6 ticks of damage per second. This serves as Rathgricy's primary damaging skill due to its rapid attack frequency, which is valuable when clearing Museum Island and Lost Isle Legend instances, where there is a damage cap mechanic. And with a related star rune, its final damage can increase by up to 50% as long as she has more than 200% movement speed. Hence, getting a high value for this rune along with movement speed buffs is essential in order to reach her highest DPS potential. In addition to dealing damage, Feather Blade of Order also applies a debuff effect that reduces a target's physical defense by 10% for 4 seconds, which can stack up to 5 times. As a result, you can optimize Rathgricy's build by allocating less ignored def stat, taking advantage of the debuff effect on the target's defense. Next, we have Holy Feather Judgment, which after consuming 1 feather stack makes Rathgricy soar into the air and after 1 second charge towards a designated location on the ground, causing damage to all enemies within a 4 meter radius. In addition, it inflicts a negative effect on all enemies hit wherein they are knocked back and disarmed. The duration of this arm is 1 second, which can be extended up to 2 seconds with the related S rune. Although it deals larger damage than Feather Blade of Order, Holy Feather Judgment only deals 1 tick of damage and has a pretty long cooldown of 5 seconds, so it's not spammable. Thus, the skill's primary utility lies in its ability to cover long distances, making it ideal for both chasing down opponents and quickly escaping from dangerous situations. Next for her damaging skills is Call of Heroes. This skill consumes all her Holy Snow Feather stacks to summon an equal amount of angels, lasting for 15 seconds. The summoned angels will automatically attack and charge towards nearby enemies within 8 meters every 3 seconds. Each attack inherits 150% of the damage of Holy Feather Judgment along with the knockback and disarm negative effect. Hence, it's essential to have 4 feather stacks before casting this skill to maximize the damage output. Due to the synergy with her core passive, casting Call of Heroes with 4 feather stacks will grant a total of 36% movement speed and 36% PDI. Although she'll gain immunity to physical and magic damage when consuming feathers, she may still suffer from HP loss damage. Thus, to ensure her safety, it is crucial to only activate this skill when there is no immediate threat of burst damage, as her anti-fatal ability will not trigger when she has 0 feather stacks. Take note that Call of Heroes has a pretty long cooldown of 27 seconds, which is fixed and cannot be reduced. If you're looking for a reliable and efficient online game top-up center, I highly encourage you guys to check out Smile.One. With years of experience in the industry and partnerships with various game developers, they offer top-ups for a wide range of games at competitive prices, including premium and BCC for Ragnarok Mobile. Smile.One top-up is available in many countries across all servers, and you may pay via their trusted payment platform. In the Philippines, I can pay securely using my GCash via Alipay and receive the BCC instantly. Please do check out Smile.One's pricing and payment methods using my exclusive link in the description box below. Lastly, we have Flames of Pride, which is an offensive debuff skill. Costing 1 Holy Snow Feather, Rathgricy can mark an enemy with Flames of Pride that last for 15 seconds. Every time she attacks the marked target, the target will suffer from HP loss burn damage equal to 3% of their max HP. In addition, the HP loss due to the burn effect cannot be restored for 15 seconds. Thus, is a good debuff against healers and sustained DPS. This skill will be usable not just in PvP but also in PvE, since skills that deal HP loss damage can now affect monsters, but with a fixed value. Next, let's take a look at her active buff skills. First is Holy Wing Armor, which is kind of like a built-in HP relic for Rathgricy that she can turn on and off. When activated, every time there's an incoming damage that will exceed 20% of her max HP, the excess damage will be negated in exchange for 1 Holy Snow Feather. This buff ensures that she doesn't get insta-killed by AOE full screen damage, which is prevalent in the current late-game instances. So if you're able to consistently maintain at least 1 Holy Snow Feather stack, Rathgricy becomes nearly unkillable by burst damage. Furthermore, with this star rune, she'll gain up to 20% final damage reduction whenever Holy Wing Armor is active. The drawback of this mechanic is that she won't negate damage below 20% of her max HP, and thus she can still be killed by multi-hit skills and auto attacks. Second is Valkyrie, which provides 4 buff effects. First, it transforms Rathgricy into Angel Rays, rendering the enemy's demi-human damage increase and reduction ineffective against her. Enemies may need to put an Anubis card in their handbook or offhand to decrease the damage received from Rathgricy. Second, it grants 30% skill damage and skill damage reduction, which are essential stats in PvP and PvE. Third, it grants Endure effect, preventing knockback and flinch. Hence, it will be more favorable to use Moonlight Flower star card instead of Edga star card in her footgear. Fourth and last, it grants 5% lifesteal effect, which means that 5% of her skill damage is converted into HP regen. This is particularly useful in instances where Rathgricy can deal millions of damage as she can maintain 100% HP, which synergizes with Holy Wing Armor for sustain. Although Rathgricy offers powerful effects, its duration is limited to 30 seconds with a cooldown of 75 seconds. If you want to maintain 100% uptime for this buff, you need to push her core passive to max level 7, which reduces Valkyrie's cooldown by 2 seconds each time she deals damage. Third is Holy Strike, which also provides 4 buff effects. First, it converts the elemental attack of Rathgricy and one teammate to Holy Element. The only disadvantage of using Holy Element is that it is weak against other Holy Element targets, such as the heart in the second phase of Lost Isle 3rd floor. Second, it boosts her damage against undead and demon race by 30%. There are numerous boss monsters that fall into demon race, such as Dreamy Kate Sid, Witch of Calamity, and Demon Overseer. Third, it grants 30% additional physical and magic attack, which are the foundation for calculating Rathgricy's damage. And fourth, with this S rune, she will also be able to reduce the damage received from all races by up to 15%. This buff lasts for 30 seconds and has a cooldown of 5 seconds, meaning it can be up all the time. And last is Command of Charge, which is just the same as Royal Guard's Command of Charge. It is a party buff that grants all nearby teammates immunity to knockback, snare, and slow effects, as well as additional 30% movement speed for 10 seconds. This buff has a long cooldown of 30 seconds, but it can be shortened up to 20 seconds with this S rune. Thus, with a max value rune, it can be up 50% of the time. Lastly, let's take a look at her passive skills. First is Order Punishment, which is a passive debuff triggered by Feather Blade of Order, wherein there's a 50% chance to ensnare enemies for 3 seconds when they receive damage from Feather Blade of Order. Hence, it will be more difficult for players to dodge Rathgricy's attacks once they've been hit, unless they have high snare resist or snare immunity. Additionally, enemies who clear Feather Blade of Order will also be ensnared and receive damage equal to 800% of Feather Blade's damage. This serves as a deterrent for squishy players who might reconsider using their ground skills too hastily due to the potential risk of not surviving the punishment's damage. Second is Valhalla Glory, which is a passive buff triggered by Valkyrie's lifesteal effect, wherein the HP recovered will be shared to all teammates within 5 meters. Furthermore, every time she restores HP through the Valkyrie's lifesteal effect, she gains 10% Holy Element damage and abnormal status resist for 10 seconds, which can stack up to 5 times. Thus, as long as she's constantly inflicting damage in Valkyrie's state, she'll be able to continuously heal her team, gain 50% more holy damage, and have 50% higher chance of avoiding abnormal statuses. Third is Halo of Justice, which only activates when Rathgricy is equipped with a shield type offhand. Thus, it's important to equip her with one of these shield type offhands in either the main equipment or phantom equipment slot. When in effect, she'll have 50% chance of being immune to any type of damage she receives. And when she casts Command of Charge, her teammates will also have 30% chance to become immune to damage. Thus, it doesn't only boost her own survivability but also her team's. And fourth is Sacred Destruction, which is a natural passive that increases Rathgricy's max HP by 20%. In addition, it applies a debuff effect on enemies being attacked, wherein their physical and magic penetration are reduced by 30% for 8 seconds, meaning she also has the power to reduce the offensive capabilities of her targets. To summarize, Rathgricy offers a lot of strengths both in PvE and PvP. First, Feather Blade of Order showcases an impressive damage-dealing capability, placing Rathgricy on par with top-tier classes such as Runemaster and Genos. She even has offensive buffs that enhance her attack and magic attack percentage, skill damage, holy element damage, physical damage bonus, and damage to undead and demon race, which all significantly contribute to her power spike. Furthermore, she is not limited to using Holy Element alone, as all her attacks are convertible, allowing her to exploit elemental weaknesses. Second, Rathgricy has the ability to sustain her own health through lifesteal, damage absorbing, and damage immunity skills, allowing her to become virtually immortal in the battlefield. Her kit also provides a decent boost in defensive stats, such as max HP percent, abnormal status resist, raised damage reduction, skill damage reduction, and final damage reduction. This innate sustain is very crucial for survival in the current late-game instances. Third, she has insane mobility due to the movement speed boost from her core passive, Command of Charge buff, and her exclusive weapon. In addition, she can cast Holy Feather Judgment to soar into the air and jump to a distance for chasing or escaping. Fourth and last, she can also apply debuffs that reduces her enemy target's physical defense, physical damage reduction, and penetration, as well as cost burn damage over time. Furthermore, her damaging skills can cause snare, knockback, and disarm effects. But of course, there are still disadvantages. First, Feather Blade of Order is classified as ground skill, so it can be cleared using Earth Field, Fire Rain, Ninja Fields, and other ground clearing skills. It's also quite easy for other players to dodge its 3x8 meter area of effect. In PvP, this is kind of a major issue as you'll struggle sustaining your damage. But even though she is heavily countered by ground clearing skills, I love the fact that she has an ability to punish players that clear her feather blade. Second, she lacks the hit correction that Thanatos and Holgrahen have, which means she needs more dex investment against high flee players. However, hit is usually not a problem in PvE as MVPs have low flee. And third, Rathgricy lacks hard control skills. Snare and knockback can be easily countered by enemies using Edga's Star card or a combination of Endure skill and Dokebi card. Hence, Disarm is her only hard CC. However, Disarm doesn't really affect most tank and support classes, so she'll have a tough time targeting them. Overall, Rathgricy's skill set is really overpowered, particularly for clearing PvE instances, and I think many players will find it valuable to unlock her. How about you guys? Will you be playing Rathgricy in the future? Share your thoughts in the comment section below. I'll also be releasing a full guide on her PvE DPS build in another video, so stay tuned for that. Alright, that's it for this video guys. Don't forget to like if you enjoyed watching this guide. If you're new here, I would love for you to consider subscribing by hitting the red subscribe button down below. I would love to have you back. Thank you for watching and see you in our next episode.